Nice to see lots of people in the audience and staff members, members of council. Welcome to the March the 6th meeting of Minto Township Council. I'd like to call this meeting to order and disclosure of pecuniary interests under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Hearing none, we'll continue to, so the minutes of the previous meeting, moved by Mary Lou Caldwell, seconded by Councillor Elliott, Councillor Caldwell, Councillor Elliott, that the minutes of February 20th, 2018 council meeting be adopted, be approved. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Declare the motion carried. Okay. Then the next one is additional items disclosed as other business. Councillor Elliott. Councillor Dirksen. CEO White. You'll be shocked to know that I have one too.
Wow. Just one?
Yeah, just one. Okay. We're now into delegations, right? Oh, no. Sorry. We are, yes, motion to by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Anderson, the Town of Minto convenes into Committee of the Whole. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Declare the motion carried. Sir. And now we go into public meeting.
It's at 5 o'clock.
Oh, it's at 5 o'clock. Okay. So do we need a motion or anything to put that down in the agenda? Thank you. So now we'll go to delegations. And first is the Wellington Source Water Protection. So, Todd, oh, welcome. Are you joining them, Todd, or?
No.
You're not?
No.
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much. My colleague, with plan official for Metro North Protection. I'm pleased to present to the annual report for 2017 as required in water. There's a report annual management report. So in 2017, progress continued in the implementation of water protection. As we recall, the two prospective plans for the time of the 2017-70 development review notices were issued in water, primarily in air pollution, and there were 132 issues. The county district plan was amended in 2015. Work with the county planners on 17 on the exercise zoning model, which can be a council of as well as continuing training sessions for the staff. In 2017, there were 14 inspections on commercial industrial or agricultural properties. Two residential plans were issued. You will also recall that the council is not actually connection bylaws in 2022. They will require the source section and there was the first section there are other information highlighted in the report around the education coverage information, website updates,
Members of council have any questions? Must have submitted a great report. There's no question.
Got a lot of information in.
That's a lot of information, you bet. So thank you very much, and okay. Could I have a motion to receive the second, or moved by Councillor Caldwell, seconded by Councillor Dirksen? All in favor? Opposed, if any? Declare that motion carried. Thank you. Next, we have Helen Edwards, Senior Center for Excellence. Welcome, Helen, and come up to the mic, and it's all yours.
So before I get started with this presentation, I'd like to thank Council and the Mayor for the support that we have received for our program through the town of Minto. It's coming up in September. There's no better practice. We'll have the 10th anniversary, which seems kind of amazing. So we're all essentially so that's great. I just wanted to highlight a little bit about the senior center and with the things that we've been doing for talking about this exciting opportunity to expand some of the programming. So I've just listed out some of the programs that we have running in the town of Minto, and just wanted to highlight the fact that our dining programs, for instance, are much more than just a hot meal. They're also an opportunity to learn about the latest health research, other things that are happening in the community. Our line dancing and yoga are both run by citizens of the town of Minto. So they are actually contracted service providers for us. So it is enabling not only activity but supporting local residents. And our brokered homemaking program also supports from the town of Minto. So just to quote a conversation that I had with a senior earlier this month, saying, thank goodness we have the walking route. It's the reason that I get up and get going every day. I go every day of the week and then head to Simmons, to Timmy. Not only great citizens, but they are also an economic force. So just about a little bit about the seniors program and our goals. So we want to engage seniors in activities that improve their overall health. And this is just some of the feedback that we have received regarding the fact that people feel more connected to their community through our programming, and also that loneliness is a chronic concern for seniors, and it has an adverse effect on their health. And so you can see some of the age demographics of the people that we serve. The great many of the majority of our clients are not the people that you see portrayed in the media. They are active members of the community with very little use of emergency rooms, and also they do not have a lot of community support coming in. So I think it's important to know that seniors, while sometimes they do go to the doctor more often, they're also helping them with the vaccine. And just a little bit about how many clients we serve in 2016 and 17. We had 847 individuals, so an individual can only count once, and 8,625 units per quarter. So some people come to the walking group every single week, and they are, each time they come, they are a unit of service. And other ones, like the brokered homemaking service, they're only a client once, no matter how many times. So, yeah, and just saying that the town of Minto, the residents of the town of Minto have been just as supportive of our program council, and we're always happy to come to any community. So, and this is the reason that I'm here, is just the opportunity to expand some of that programming that we're offering through the call for proposals for the seniors active living centers. And just a little bit of background about that. So the Ministry of Health in 2017 established the Ministry of Community Affairs, and since then 263 seniors active living centers have been created that serve about 100,000 older adults each year. We know that the number of seniors is growing now. We have over 2 million seniors in Ontario and expect that to double within the next 25 years. And now in Ontario, there's more people over 65 than there is children under the age of 15. And we know that Minto has about 17 to 18% of the population is people over the age of 15. And now there has been a call for proposals to have a second round of these benefits opening. So the government of Ontario has committed $8 million to fund 4 new centres, and the legislation requires a minimum of 20% of cost from the municipality. And this combination of funds can be cash or in kind. This $8 million investment is in addition to the $11.5 million.
Oh, shoot.
So this is where there's an opportunity for North Wellington. So there's an opportunity for us to partner again, working together to provide additional programs to seniors. We know the value of seniors, and this is an opportunity to build on the work done by the Senior Center by providing new programs. This is not to build on existing, but to provide new programs. And ensuring that Wellington, North Wellington continues to be a place that attracts not only new seniors, but enables those who are residents to communities to remain. So we know that health of the community is not only the responsibility of the health of the community, but everybody needs to come together to make a healthy community. And we will be looking to have impact on input from seniors to decide what type of program we will put in. So it's important to have their voice heard. So the financial implications are that for us to build the program to its largest capacity, that a municipal district contribution would be required in the same amount of compassionate grant, which is $32,500. And Mapleton will continue to house the program and offer back office support in space with a value of $10,000. And we're asking Minto and Wellington North to split the remaining $32,500. And that is based on the fact that we anticipate that we will have more participation in those areas based on population demand. And we know historically that the town of Minto and Wellington North have higher participation rates. So I just wanted to put together a little sketch of how that contribution might look. We would like to increase programming in Clippers, and so that would be as outlined here, like weekly use of the community hall, weekly use of the Harrison train station, office space at the launch of the office, and much of the use of the North End Theater, which is a total in-kind contribution of $10,220 and a cash contribution of $5,500. And now I'm just going to ask Fran to come forward and share with her. And Fran lives in Wellington.
Sounds pretty good then.
I think so.
Thank you.
So under next steps, if the town of Minto is going to support the grant proposal, then I'm going to council board next week. And then with their approval, then the grant application will be completed. So this is really only the second step in the multi-step procedure. But I just wanted to bring this opportunity to your I don't know if you have.
Thank you, Helen. Excellent report, and thank you, Ms. Dawson. It's a pleasure to have you. Now, I'm going to ask Gord, our treasurer, is the main fellow in respect to this. Do you have comments in respect to this? I think I can hear.
Okay, good. Yes, I and we talked about it. Ideally, we would have liked to too late. So what I think is
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Gord. Any questions, Councillor Dirksen?
Thank you. I just had a question about the in-kind contributions and the amounts of the rental for the spaces.
Question on that.
Looks like Treasurer Duff could probably answer this question.
Well, whatever.
Okay.
Can I add
Okay.
to your question, or was that the actual question?
Well, that was the question because, like, I guess I'm just looking at the train station, and I'm pretty sure we paid more than that for a family get together in December. So I was just wondering where these numbers came from, and if those in-kind
Oh, I see
contributions
what
can
your
be
question
higher,
is.
then that would mean the cash contribution could be lower. Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And the other thing to add to Judy's question is like I go in and walk at the arena every morning, and so I know at Palmerston like there's a, but I don't see that on here as an in-kind contribution.
Under our umbrella, but it's a separate funding. So we would not be doing using the arena for the walking program because the programming has to be really
Okay. Okay. Yep.
so
Okay.
we recognize that it's contribution to the community center, but this is strictly about the community.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
What
Councillor
sort of
Anderson.
services would you be looking at adding into these spaces to make them a new program? Like, what are you thinking of bringing forward?
Well, what I would like to, I want to speak to the seniors first and foremost to get their input, but what I would like to do is, so I look at the community hall, like using the shuffleboard system, the shuffleboard system that's got the program, and we try to use the shuffleboard program there, and then also having potentially the ability to have like a game to the shuffleboard, so it's involved with shuffleboard. We did have our shuffleboard trial session the other day. We had over 40 seniors there, so we know that seniors enjoy that.
Yeah.
And it's so hands to have this as well. And then I did want to talk to seniors to find out. I just don't want to come up and say, well, we're going to do this.
Okay.
But my idea for the community hall is to support because it's fun. Okay. When we have the equipment, we just have to get something that can
Councillor Caldwell?
I just was wondering, when you apply for the grant, do you not have to lay out the program that you are going to do?
You have to lay out a plan for how many people you're going to serve and how
Okay.
you're going to so like we will be talking about the number of people that we plan to serve but around actually what those programs will be. And some, like we can get some general ideas, like we have coffee groups that are functioning well in some communities, but we don't have capacity in other communities. So we can use some of the models that we're already using in other communities. It's just that we can't use that as new money to build on existing programs. We can't make our yoga program longer.
Okay.
It has to be something different.
Different.
It could be yoga in Clifford,
Right.
right? But it can't be, or yoga in Harrison, but it can't be a full yoga program in Hollywood.
And do you charge for your services?
Some of them we do. Most of them we don't though. Like the yoga is $5 a class, and the line dance is $3. But our coffee groups are free. Our meal program you pay for the meal, but you can always just come to the presentation. We've got something to do. We're trying to stay at low cost if we possibly can.
Good. Thank you.
Excellent. Councillor Elliott.
Just want to comment. I've known Fran for a long time over these programs and such like. And I've dealt with you over the telephone a few times too with the rental of the facilities and such like. But I just want to say I witnessed the exercise program, and I've seen the euchre that's happening in our hall, the Lions Hall, and people that appear that you've forgotten about, that seniors that didn't have purpose, or as you said, it made me feel good to see that happen again, and something for other than going to the local coffee shop for a coffee and the rest of the day, what do you do? And they seemed really enthusiastic about going. And matter of fact, if I forgot to unlock the doors sometime, you got a whole bunch standing at the door waiting for you, wondering where you are. So yeah, it's a great program, and I fully support having that. We have to have it.
Oh, thank you, Helen. Would somebody like to move or present a motion that we accept the report by Helen Edwards, and if you so wish, include the amount of the proposed additional 5,500? Was it?
I would make that motion.
Thank you. Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Elliott. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? I declare that motion carried. Now we invite Mark McKenzie from the Hairston Historical Society. Welcome, Mark. Come on up to the mic.
Besides our highlights of 2017, society, it enables us to continue our purpose of preserving and expanding. Besides the report, I have a couple of things here. April 7th, having a speaker in a presentation on traditional children. We did have a film last year. We didn't get enough room for everybody to come, so that we have a different flavor this time. Other speakers. We're also going to take part in the all the street days that Hairston does. Do a display of the icon. So, if there's any questions on last year's highlights, I think we can answer them.
So that I have a question, Mark, in respect to the days in August for 10th to 12th for especially for the Canada Packers. I'll bet you have quite a collection. There. Yes, he is. Oh, nice. I know I donated the truck from Cliff Johnson.
Besides the people that pulled things out there, it was also a facility that for years and years got a summertime job for a lot of those people.
Excellent. Any questions? Councillor Elliott?
What kind of membership you got, or do you sign up as a member, or just people come aboard and be part of the group?
Membership now is over 80.
For my first 5 years in Harrison.
We just so we're going to maybe change that too. In every organization.
Yeah.
People join them.
Good.
Okay. Thank you. CAOA?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through you, just to Mark, thank you for the presentation. And the mayor asked me to convey to you that he hadn't forgotten those bills you sent through, and there was some surplus funds from the golf tournament he was planning on directing that too. So he asked if I would tell you that.
And thank you on behalf of the council for coming. It's always great to hear reports on activities of our organizations within the community. So thank you.
One more thing. Highlight the steps that go into our Main Street schools. I'm not sure it's any steps, but it's ongoing and it's appreciated by our fellow people that do it.
Awesome.
That's right.
Thanks, Mark. Okay. Yes. Now I'd like to call on Mr. Vic Palmer, President of the Clifford Horticulture Society.
Thank you, Council, ladies and gentlemen. When we were talking about the planting for homecoming meeting or two ago, one of our directors mentioned that there are also 3 other, just 2 main ones. So the conversation turned to that, and the motion passed that we approach the town to see get additional signs for each of those entries. So staff indicated that I have to come to a presentation here. So what I'm here for then is to ask that there be a sign installed at each of the other 3 entrances, preferably saying something like "Welcome to Clifford" or "Clifford," something that we can do an appropriate planting or planting box or something around to help people down. If it were to be done relatively soon, then for sure it would be a benefit to visitors and detour people. Sign, and certainly in the future, it will be that no one can get into the town.
Somebody's welcome.
Knowing that they are welcome.
Okay, Vic. Thank you, Vic. Could you identify to council the 3 roads?
Coming from Drew.
Okay.
Coming from the northwest.
Fordwich. Okay.
Also an additional road.
Lakeland. Right?
No, the Lakeland Road.
Yeah.
That's one. And the other was at Fordwich too. I don't know.
Kind of. Town line.
Okay.
Town line.
I could be the bearer of bad news here or good news. I'm not sure. Those are all county roads. So that permission to put those signs up would have to come from the county. That's the way I read that. No, that's okay. That's okay. Bill?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, perhaps if council would like to support the sign idea, we can approach the county
Yeah, we can do that
Palmer's
too.
behalf.
That's a good way.
So
Absolutely.
So if we had a motion to direct staff to approach the county to investigate and putting up the signs as requested, then we would do that.
Okay, Councillor Dirksen, did you want to comment or make the motion?
Yes.
That's full.
I have a question, and I'd like to make the motion.
Well, why don't we start with the question?
I'm just not clear. Are you thinking the same type and size of sign that is at the north and south end, or are you thinking something?
Something far more modest.
Okay.
That would be something that staff can work out.
Okay. Okay, that was the sense I got, but I just wanted to clarify that. Okay.
Other towns have something and that's so we have a simple size. Something like that would be ideal for some of the choice. I'll leave that up to staff.
Okay. Thank you.
It just that, if I may, through you, the county will probably tell us what they may like us to have, but yeah, we'll work towards the more modest thing.
Yeah, they have a standard.
So then I would make a motion, and I'd like to see some consultation though with the Clifford Horticulture Society as well, in there. And of course, anybody else who needs to be consulted.
Okay, seconder that motion, Councillor Caldwell. All's in favor? Opposed, if any? I declare the motion carried. Thank you, Vic. And we appreciate the Horticulture Society for sure.
You send us money every year.
A little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Public question period. We asked the public if they're coming up. Yes, Mr. McDonald. Okay. Okay.
About a month ago, my wife had a foot infection. The doctor thought we were away. And we had to do it. Went back. Went it. Pictures.
Certainly not. Have you submitted a request to have that?
This is raining
Okay. CO White, I would suggest we take that information and present it to our staff and ask them to come back with a recommendation. So from William Street to the end. Okay. Thank you. And we will look into it and we will get back to you. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you. I'll declare that item closed then. Next we have correspondence. Is there any correspondence in there that you would like separated out or whatever? Councillor Dirksen?
No, I'm got locked out. Sorry. That was
I got locked out too. Twice, as a matter of fact. The first one is the AMO bill for Safer Ontario. That's in respect to the policing, the OPP and versus municipal. And the Saugeen Valley one is the report, the newsletter. You want me to go on?
You don't go with it.
The,
Oh no, I don't have one. That was not a hand up. That was a.
no,
Oh no, I got locked out.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Could I have a motion then
You're doing
to
that for my benefit.
accept the correspondence? Councillor Caldwell, Councillor Anderson, all those in favor? I declare the motion carried. Okay, next we have reports of committee for none, right?
Nope. Oh yeah, well, we're moving.
No, it's still authorizing.
Now we're going to staff reports.
Yep.
Now we will move on to staff reports, and the first one is the building assistant.
This one, which was-
Not the building assistant. We have the man. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you. So the first thing that I've got three reports. The first one is a request for an exemption from park lot control. This has to do with the semi-detached dwelling under construction on or at 30 and 32 George Street in Harrison here. Basically, the proposal is to split the property into two in order to sell each half of the semi. Council probably recalls we've done quite a few of these, both in Palmerston as well as Palmerston, sorry. The county is the approval body of the exemption request, but council needs to pass the bylaw to allow that to go through. That's pretty much all I have. Our recommendation regarding the park lot control exemption application. Meant for George Street North, part of park lot 5, part 22 on R 21.55 in Harrison, and consider passing the bylaw.
Thank you. Somebody care to make that motion? Councillor Anderson? Councillor Dirksen? All in favor? Declare that motion carried. Sorry, I didn't ask if there was anyone opposed. I declare that motion carried. All right, second report?
Second is we received staff received another request for a proposed model home in the subdivision of Palmerston. That's the Meadows subdivision. The developer for that is our council did pass a resolution at the last council meeting to construct a model home on lot 10, which is highlighted in yellow on the screen there. The request, due to interest in the subdivision and potential sales, the builder came back and requested an additional lot. Our policy is for up to 4 in the subdivision of that size. The lot that he chose for this request is lot 22, highlighted in red. In discussion with the builder, my recommendation was to approach council to get approval of the second model home as well as 2 to be considered in the future if needed in phase 1 as well. Just so it's not a back and forth every time we get see.
So just to clarify, Terry, so 4 model homes then?
In total, yes. Yeah, that's the max that our policy on that subdivision. The terms within the agreement is we need to get the subdivision, or not the builder, the developer needs to get the subdivision finalized by July 1st in here. Yeah, July 1st. And once that's done, then they can go full bore and keep building this.
Any questions? I have one. What once that model home is a model home, now it's sold.
Yep.
Does it continue to be a model home?
No. So what the process is, we issue a conditional building permit for it. So it's not issued as a house. What he needs to do is come back and obviously the services need to be connected to it. And he needs to verify that the house is located on the lot it's supposed to be once the subdivision is in place.
Okay.
And then we issue a separate permit.
Thank you. Then recommendation.
Right.
Yes, sorry, Councillor Caldwell, go ahead.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So could he sell that house before the subdivision agreement is passed?
No.
Okay.
Because it's not a house and it's building multiple houses on one parcel.
Where's the recommendation on that one?
Okay.
So there's no way.
Why it's not showing? Oh. Oh, there we go. No, we've done that one, the first one. But this is the second one we're talking about. Okay, so the recommendation is that council receives the chief building official's report dated March the 1st, 2018. Report Right Haven Homes request for model unit lot 22 and approves up to 3 additional model homes on the subdivision subject to the builder signing a model home agreement in the form attached to this report and providing security in the amount of $5,000 per unit prior to a conditioning permit, building permit being issued by the CBO for the town. Somebody move that, please. Councillor Caldwell, Councillor Elliott, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? I declare the motion carried. I don't know whether I'm supposed to tap that every time we pass the motion. But that sounded good. I think I'll do it.
Oh, you are not.
Should never give you a hand. Somebody could get hurt.
Okay, then number 3, right?
Yes. So my final report for the afternoon is I received a noise bylaw exemption request from the Ministry of Transportation. This pertains to the Highway 9 reconstruction work. Our bylaw states you can't simply work on a construction site in a road or a house between the hours of 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. the following morning. MTO is actually proposing to construct the road during the night as well as during the day. So staff met and we had some concerns based on the location of the house to the road itself. That is a prime example of how close one of the residences are to the highway. It's roughly 24 feet from the edge of asphalt. Road construction equipment, as we all know, is loud. Backup beepers, the dock equipment itself, as well as compactors. So our concern would be disruption of the ratepayers at night. That particular house is actually occupied by an Amish family. We don't have power to the house, so during the summer, we need to wide open. That could be a conflict. So staff, we discussed what the best mitigation method would be to satisfy both. We understand we want the road construction to be done as quick as possible, as well as less disruption to traffic as possible to keep everybody happy. So we figured a 50-meter buffer from any dwelling unit, which is roughly 160 square feet. Probably not going to get rid of all the noise, but guarantee it's not, but at least it will be available for the most part. The way around that we discussed would be that the contractor got specific permission from the occupier of the house to allow for construction within the buffer. In the noise bylaw itself, the council has three options once we receive the request. One is to approve it as proposed. The second is to approve it on with conditions, and the third out is to flat out refuse it. So staff's recommendation to council would be to pass a resolution permitting a conditional approval of the exemption request. Basically, the period outline that they requested was May 1st to the 31st of 2018, which lines up with the max exemption period. And that no construction activities are to take place between the hours of 9 p.m. To 7 a.m. the following morning, or 9 a.m. Sunday, within 50 meters of a dwelling unit, unless specific permission is granted by the occupier of the dwelling unit agreeing to after-hour construction for a certain period of calendar, and then they've got to give us that.
Councillor Elliott.
You said written permission, which is great, but what happens if all of a sudden they realize, well, we made a mistake? It's now 1 o'clock in the morning, and I don't want to hear this.
That's the part they're going to have to be aware of. That's also the reason why I threw in specific calendar dates. So we can't get written information that between May 1st and the end of October, we could work outside your house every night, the whole time. So if it was a specific window that the occupier is into, then that's unfortunately.
They can't go back on their word, kind of thing. Okay.
I'm curious. They're going to do quite a stretch of the road, right? So during the midnight hours, why can't they move up the road a little bit and leave that house alone?
Well, I took a shot of all the houses.
There's a lot more houses.
Yeah, there's a few.
27 out of the 50 are.
Oh, really? 20? Really? Okay. I take back my question then. Councillor Caldwell.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. Is there any clause that we could change our mind if we had a lot of complaints? That even within the 50 meters, if there was a lot of, residents that complained about the noise, that we could turn to them and say, no, we don't want to do this anymore.
Council could put that in as a condition of the approval. It is the reason why they want this exemption prior to is the tender going out on April 1st. So they want their contractors to know exactly what they're up against in terms of buffering.
Yeah, totally understandable. Yeah.
But I think I would like to see us have a way out if it got out of hand. That they're not saying, well, you pass the resolution and we can keep going all night, every night. And meanwhile,
50 meters. Oh, yes, I
Got
do.
tons of people at our doorstep saying we can't sleep.
Okay.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, might I suggest that we add to the end of the recommendation that this be reevaluated
30 days.
every
Monthly?
30 days or so as we go through. And
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
But the whole purpose of doing it now is so that the contractors that are bidding on it know what they're up against.
Correct.
So
Right, John,
that's kind of leaving, I mean, there's going to be, that's leaving things really
True.
It kind of puts them on notice that other people as well.
I got no issue with that one.
So the big loud machine doesn't go on at 1 o'clock. The quieter one goes on.
Oh, brother.
I thought you were.
Oh, yeah. Okay. The recommendation. You ready?
Yep.
That council receives the chief building official's report dated March the 1st, 2018, report titled MTO Noise Bylaw Exemption Request, and grant the contractors working on behalf of the Ministry of Transportation a conditional exemption between May the 1st, 2018 and October the 31st, 2018, with the following condition. No construction activities are to take place between the hours of 9 p.m. on one day to 7 a.m. on the next, within 50 meters of a dwelling unit, unless specific written permission is granted by the occupier of the dwelling unit, agreeing to the after-hour construction activity to take place on specific calendar days, and such written permission obtained is to be submitted to the town of Minto. And we're going to put a condition that it be revisited every 30 days.
If that's council's wish.
Is that council's wish, or
Can we,
do you want to do a separate amendment too?
we do that as an amendment and vote on the amendment?
Sure, sure. Did you want to make an amendment then, Councilor
Yes, I
Caldwell?
would like to make an amendment that we add that this will be reevaluated
By council.
by council just once, I would think, after the first 30 days, or do we have to do it every 30 days?
It's your amendment.
It'll be,
Yeah.
it'll be different. They'll be at different spots down the highway. So
Different people.
I think we should look at it.
How
Probably
we would
every-
just
I think
use the
every
word
30 days.
periodically.
I don't think that would be a
Okay.
wise thing.
All right.
Monthly, every month, every 30 days or whatever. Okay, seconder for that motion amendment, Councilor Elliott. All those in favor of that amendment? 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? Do you wish to be noted?
Nope.
Okay. I declare the amendment carried. All right. And then add that to the recommendation. Would somebody care to make that motion? Councilor Caldwell, seconded by Councilor Anderson. Any discussion for or against? Okay. Those in favor of the recommendation as amended? Opposed, if any? Councilor Dirksen, or sorry, shouldn't have done that. I apologize. One opposed. I declare the motion carried. Okay, next we have Deputy Clerk, fees and charges bylaw update.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I guess you get me on this one. Deputy Clerk was in Mexico.
Yeah, tough to yell all that way, isn't it?
Her report outlines the fees and charge increases proposed for 2018. We gave notice as required by the notification bylaw at the March 6th council meeting. We've had no feedback or concerns about the fees that were outlined. You can see them in the schedules attached to the report. Schedule B increases the fees for tax registrations and some other water and sewer arrears charges. Schedule D has rate changes for the recreation fees. Schedule E are some changes to water shutoffs and other water charges. Schedule F is some charges for reports and searches for the fire department. Increase in Schedule D for dogs picked up at large. I is for residents' water and sewer schedule, so that we did not have an increase to water and sewer rates in 2017, so we have advanced that schedule 1 year into the future.
I see.
So
Yep.
we'll have an increase there in water and sewer. And our recommendation, this is based on feedback from all the department heads, so our recommendation is that you adopt those charges and they would be implemented by bylaw.
Any questions? Councillor Dirksen?
I just had a question about the tax registration. That's a significant
Yes. I was gonna
increase.
look at that
I
too.
don't know what that means though. I mean, I don't know what is involved in a tax registration. So I'm just curious why the huge increase.
Treasurer Duff.
Okay, so our
Okay, what's involved in a tax registration?
Oh,
tax registration, so and
Correct? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, sorry. It's like, oh, well,
Through
my
you,
right
I have
eye not
two.
working.
So this is only when the town is taking the property on. Okay.
And that makes sense.
oh, okay.
Okay. And then my other question is the fee for a dog picked up running at large. That's also quite an increase. And I just wondered, does the town employee have any discrepancy? Like if the dog just got away from a house, can he drop it, or is it a...
Yeah,
Sure.
if I may, through you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor Faulkner. Yeah, we try to do that. Sometimes they're dogs we know. Sometimes they've called the people who own the dog and said, your dog's at large, can you go get it? So
Okay.
we're trying not to send the catcher out all the time because it is, if we can get it safely and or let the other people know, then they're not charged.
Okay. Councillor Dirksen?
So I've said this before on dogs. Facebook is a great way to get dogs back to their people. And
I saw that.
my very last call would be to the town of Minto to find out or to get rid of a dog, because it's not, I mean, I know sometimes that's what you need to do, but I just like to find other ways to get a dog back home without incurring that cost and that extra stress to that animal and to the people that dog belongs to. So I just couldn't miss the opportunity to say that when you left me wide open.
Your comments have been heard and well noted.
Okay.
Okay. Then the recommendation. If I can find it here with my. No, I don't have one on the bottom of mine. Okay, so I guess we need to. That comes into bylaw.
It's just to receive the report.
Receive the report. A motion to receive the report. Councillor Elliott, Councillor Anderson. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, I declare the motion carried. And now we have CEO Clark, or CEO White with Quality Homes Land Conveyance.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. You'll recall that last council meeting, I think it was Councillor Anderson read a motion in open session. This is a matter we considered in closed. Before, we were taking confidential legal advice on land acquisition and disposition matter. So I think the report's fairly comprehensive. It outlines the location of the lands and the zoning matters that have been ongoing here for almost 2 years now. And some of the site grading issues that have been pointed out in the letters that you received today and through social media and other concerns. And then, of course, in December, of last year, you did approve conditionally a site plan for Quality Homes to proceed with the development. There are a number of conditions on that approval, and as far as we understand it, they're working through those conditions. There's a current draft of the site plan in the report that you can have a look at. It's coming along quite nicely. They're continuing on with their due diligence and the conveyance that's outlined in this, and the procedures we're following under our disposition of land bylaw are part of that due diligence. The zoning for these lands and the minutes of settlement signed through 2016, 2017 have provided for the conveyance of 0.29 acres of land in the back of the homes facing on George Street to the developer of the townhouse project, the 23 units. And so we're initiating those procedures through this report. Part of the procedure is whether council wishes to declare the lands in question as surplus. There's quite an explanation in the report about abutting properties, and when this was all one developer, it really didn't matter that lands abutted each other because the developer was the same. But in order to convey Part 6, or the 23-unit townhouse development, separate from future subdivision, there's a triangular piece of land that would be conveyed to the town initially, and then the town would add part of that triangle to the park, and then add the rest to the development lands for the 23-unit townhouse project. Through the work that Quality Homes has done on the site plan, we were able to shift these units approximately slightly over 2 meters. I believe it's about 2.25 meters. I guess it would be easterly, further away from the parkland property. So we've actually decreased the potential size of the parcel that would be going from the park to Quality Homes. There's a lot of information about flooding concerns. We had obviously the flood in June 23rd, and then we had another 10-year event on February 20th. There's an engineering report prepared by Triton Engineering, and they're here today to speak to that report if you have any questions about it. Obviously, that the event did result in some flooding and ponding and a response in this area, and I think we've explained what happened as best we know at this time. These lands are part of the North Ward Drain, which is a drain that was established in and around 1962. It drains a lot of farmland, and it drains a good chunk of Hairston, and it's basically designed to a standard that's much below what has happened June 23rd and February 20th. So the flooding part is part of a bigger issue. We do have a public meeting that we would encourage all residents to attend on May 29th at the community center in Hairston at 7 o'clock, and we'll have all the experts there to answer questions and talk about what happened not only June 23rd but now February 20th. And one of the things that we have to collectively put our mind to, and not just for this site but for all of Hairston, are potential solutions that would help mitigate things upstream, instream, and downstream. And that's the points that the Conservation Authority made to us as we've been meeting with them over these months, and that will come out in that public meeting. It's a comprehensive solution. We've had a long history of issues in this area. They're well documented, and I know it's been a lot of frustration for a lot of people, particularly when homes flood for a second time. The issue is whether the strip of land that has been identified in the minutes of settlement and in the zoning bylaw approved by the OMB is surplus to the needs of the municipality. Having reviewed that with the engineers, it's our recommendation to you that this lands are surplus and that you proceed with that transaction, and that's our recommendation to you.
Okay. Any questions by council? Councillor Dirksen?
So I feel like there's two things here. So the one thing is this conveyance of land, and then the other thing is the Triton Report. Are we going to discuss the Triton Report?
We sure are. Like we'll have
board. Like I just don't want to have this motion done and then we're done. Because I had a couple questions.
Oh, okay.
If I may,
is that okay to do that?
If I may, Mr. Deputy Mayor, that the Triton Report is linked into an issue, and I think it's meant to convey to council information on what the need for this strip is, the size of the pond and all that. So I think
We can do that.
we have those gentlemen here and they can speak to that because their report is on for your consideration.
Okay, then I do.
So then we'll question first before I bring Triton up.
No question to them.
Oh, okay.
Question to,
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
from the report.
For Triton, we have Chris and Paul with us today, and invite you to the mic. Thanks for coming. Do you want to ask the question now,
Yes, if that's okay.
Councillor Dirksen? Sure is.
Through you, I was interested. It talked about the dry pond not breaching its banks during the flood event in February, and I just wondered if we know that all the water that's supposed to be flowing into that stormwater retention pond from the development, if indeed all of it is flowing in there, or if it's
Right now, because the area is upgraded, I believe that some of the area, the water and there's an area above the walkway that comes across the top.
right.
So that water, which there are most of the other areas that are in that area are going towards the pond. All the homes are going back towards the pond. And the pond, as far as we could tell, higher than did not, anything that we've seen did not breach over the top. So that pond for that type of event, and one thing to consider here too, this rainfall, is coupled with the fact that everything is frozen.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's like considering 100% impervious in parking lot. So the runoff was significant from that. Not to mention the rainfall. Perfect. And I'm not sure how close to the top. We have pictures every time. And there is a discrepancy of how high it got. We didn't staff out. And to our knowledge, didn't breach the overflow. No overflow built into it right now. Riprap overflow. And it didn't actually flow over that. There is some argument that it did flow through it a bit. And we talked to residents about that. Seeing that in the evidence that some did flow through the riprap, but didn't actually flow physically over it.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Then do you want to continue with your report now before we go to the motion? Please. Or any more questions on your report? Oh, sorry, Councillor Caldwell.
For you, Deputy Mayor. So are you saying that chances are good that February 20th wouldn't have happened if the development had been completed?
As far as the bonding at Williams. So you have to understand how the North Board drain works. We completed a study on it a few years back. The North Board drain is out at the end of the evening down behind the Pier C. And it's virtually flat. It runs about 21.2% rate. So when the North Board drain is empty, when the North Board is drained, there's nothing in it. It handles all the flows that we get. The problem is that it's under outlet, what we call outlet control. So as soon as the river starts to rise, it rises up in the pipe. It actually takes up the capacity, and it backs up all the way to the system. Over the years, and that was probably one of the reasons that I'm here, because I do have some local knowledge that happened to live here for the last 10 years. I've seen where a rain event in the top end of the township happened, and very little rain inherent in itself. And then 8 hours later, when that flow comes in, it actually floods without any rainfall. And that happened at the corner of Wellington and Fourth Street. Water came up there from that area, and it's kind of questioning me on why that happened. And that's because the river backed up. It finds its level and it comes up to the grades. So just for a bit more education on that, at the corner of Young Creek and Dane, the elevation there, the corner of George and William, the corner of George and Maiden are all within 8 inches. So when we see the water level up around the pump station, public works yard, that system, the North Fork drain, is full of water. So it's already full because the river backs up into it. It has no back. As soon as the river goes down, it flows back. And that's the problem with the North Fork drain. Even if you twin it, you just have 2 pipes full. You put a bigger pipe in, you just have a bigger pipe full. So that's
Just move the river.
the issue with the North Fork drain. It works fine, and it gets way to flow once the river allows it to. And so part of the town pursuing the floodline mapping and doing these updates is to get good information, all the contours and elevations in the area, so that the town can, and the valley, can look at how do we get the flow from the town quicker. Okay? So this information, and we know there are bottlenecks in the system. But without all this good information, it's hard to sort of say where they are. And of course, now, I won't say nowadays, but that with all the environmental concerns, when you go in and do these changes or propose these changes to any type of watershed, forest or river, you have to have all your you have to know exactly what you're doing because there's all the impacts to species, corn, all that stuff. So this is the information that we're getting anyway. So hopefully, if we can get the waters through town in a more efficient way, the river won't rise up, and the North Fork drain will be more efficient more often. The June 23rd. Last year, I'm not sure what you did. It's a big one. It overflowed the marina. And what happened with that event, we had the localized flooding where North Fork drain backed up, flows come up, and then the rain stopped, the main heat from that trees down there. Those water areas actually went down because the river was going down, and the water got a chance to get away. As soon as the heat came through, it backed up and the water came up. And that's what you're seeing. And William and George, for example, where that flooding was a couple weeks ago, to me, it looks like there was a lot of runoff coming off the field, and the field being frozen, just like they. That runoff was going down on the low point, but the reason it wasn't necessarily getting but the water was backed up in the river. It's not its level. The level. The river. It's a very complex system. I mean, it really is.
So the challenge for the future then, if I read you correctly, Mr. Ziegler, is that to design a method where there's an auxiliary way of water to get away from the town.
I think there's probably 4 or 5 reports.
Yeah.
Channelization, efficiency, now, so it doesn't back up. Bypassing will consideration if you actually involve your property.
Exactly.
Take it around. Raise up the town.
Yeah. No, but and the reason I say that is, I believe years ago the town of Paisley had similar problems that we did, and so now theirs is a little bit different situation because they had the geography was such that they were able to build literally a new river with berms, and is that something that we maybe have to look at in the future, or you don't think that might work? Yeah. Your dad's old place.
It was a bottleneck. But even further down, there's still some pinch points that problem. There are some areas for improvement.
I think the Stanions are still there, correct? Where the bridge sat on? Oh, you think they're gone? I thought they were still there. Okay.
I could be wrong.
Councillor Elliott.
You were talking about environmental concerns. If we decided to take the bottlenecks away,
Yeah.
make a larger bank for the rivers to get through and whatever, so it'll go straight down and without rising. At least give it some width or whatever. Environmentally, we have problems with that kind of thing. We had up in Clifford and such like when we tried to do things and
Coon Creek.
red-tailed fish or something.
Red side days. Yeah.
Green-eyed frogs.
Yeah, and frogs and.
My point is,
That was by line.
from a hydraulic point of view, say that this is going to make an improvement. We want to make sure we have the right. We're working on getting a good accurate copy, and then we can say, okay, this is here, and that lessens.
Can we get what I'm trying to? Can we not get around? Can we expedite something like that? If the environmental people come in and say we can't do what we want to do.
CO White.
Just on that point, because the mayor did through the course of this event and after it commit to bringing a pump in to the one corner where we did pump, and that seemed to help. So we can do certain things under emergency circumstances, but there's even talk in the report about diversions and things. But they have to be for emergencies. If the more comprehensive solution is exactly what Mr. Ziegler is outlining, all the background data, because it's like when you used to play in the mud and the water. Sometimes when you blocked at one spot, it fills up another, and we need to understand that before we go off without understanding the complete watershed.
Okay. Councillor Anderson.
So I think we're all going around the same issue. I think the point of the question, or the big question, is that development. Did it contribute? If the development hadn't been there, if the development had been finished, would it have changed it? From what I'm hearing, I suspect no, because the excess water was coming from the fields and it was coming down in different pathways, which we heard at council that night while it was raining, because there were snowbanks diverting the flow. And I mean, we saw that everywhere. People all over Ontario saw floods where they didn't ordinarily see floods because it was diverted. So I think that's sort of the crux of this, to tie in with the decision about that land. Does that land change, or the size of the retention pond? I mean, we could make it big and make it the size of Lake Erie and it would hold all the water, but realistically, is that development changing the flood pattern at all? Sounds like we have a much bigger problem and it's really got nothing to do with it. It's my way of thinking. But I could be wrong because I'm no engineer.
Locally, I think it's changed a little bit in the area because the houses are built. Remember the school property on that point, but it's so that ball island over the corner.
You did.
Okay. We had heavy events and on up the other ball. So the water would come off the pond. That being said, that pond is considerably more volume than that
Right.
foot of water that ever sat. Because once it's filled out of the ball diamond, it
Mhm.
The point of, if you make the, you know more about water back in the pond, it's actually been, this is all part of the review. And the plan, like, but the consensus so far is that this is going to work. So the consensus is the way comparison, the both these trees, it's pretty consistent. When we get a rainfall, then the valley knows the time it takes to get through here. Then in summertime, they also for us to get rid of the water rather than hold it.
Okay.
Because when we hold it back and release it at a slower rate, which that's how generally a storm pond works, you hold back the bulk of the water and release that at an acceptable rate. That's how basically attenuation.
Yep.
But in this case, because we get that, we have, I'm not sure what it is, 12 hours of the week.
Yep.
Yeah, we get rid of the water that we have in there quicker, so it's long gone down the channel and not retain it. So that's been, but, these are all timing issues. Where I say, system is
Very complex.
Send it on down to Gory.
Get it down there quicker.
Yeah.
Get it down.
Right.
Okay, any other questions, Council? Okay. Thank you all. So, recommendation, have I got the right one here? I'm pretty sure. Yep. The council receives the CAO's report, clerk's report, dated February 28th, 2018, proposed land trade, Metzger Construction, Quality Homes in the town of Minto. That Metzger Construction and Quality Homes be advised the town is prepared to accept the triangular shaped lands from Metzger Construction, the nominal fee to increase the size of the town park and pond, and to include with the lands to be conveyed 2 Quality Homes, and the council declares the less than 0.29 acres of lands to be conveyed to Quality Homes as outlined in the February 28th report surplus to the needs of the town. Would somebody care to make that motion? Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Anderson. Any further discussion with respect to the motion? All those in favor of the motion, please indicate in usual manner. Those opposed, if any, I declare the motion carried. CO White?
Could we have a motion to receive Triton's report as well?
Okay, would somebody care to make that motion? Councillor Anderson, Councillor Dirksen, that the Triton engineering report is received as part of the report. Okay, next we have, yeah, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? I declare the motion carried. Treasurer Duff. And Councillor Colwell. You got to be patient with me.
That's
here.
quite all right.
Just learning this job.
There's only one quick item. You could have done it. Okay, and Finance Committee only has one item on the agenda, and it's the approval of accounts. I'll turn it over to Treasurer Duff.
Thanks, Chair. Actually, don't have too much today. Highlight is we did mainly there.
Okay, are there any questions or concerns? Then the recommendation is the council receives the treasurer's report dated February 28th regarding approval of accounts and approves the town of Minto accounts by department for January and February 2018. I'll make that motion, please. Councillor Anderson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, all in favor, and the motion is passed. And I pass the chair back to Deputy Mayor Faulkner.
Okay, next we have our water flow chairman with backflow prevention program. Mr. Metzger is coming forward.
Chairman.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you. Report. What I want to bring forth is our backfill vote. Cross connection backfill. So our next step here is we want to implement a program that customers that are commercial. What this is going to do is provide safety. So what we're going to do is survey and then there'll be an ongoing inspection.
Deputy Mayor, one of the instances that's commonly referred to and that this is trying to prevent is siphonage that occurred in Stratford.
You bet.
And some of you may recall that incident where I think it was soap
Yeah, it was just
Car wash.
siphoned into their water
Yep.
system. So it was only by the grace of one of the public works people driving through town that they noticed foam somewhere, and all of a sudden they discovered this. So by getting our commercial, industrial, institutional, and well, we don't have any residential above 3 floors yet, but maybe one day, to install these, that's added protection, and it's required by that new water bylaw you adopted back in 2017. So Wayne will be going out with his crew and working with the community to make sure these devices get installed. And Wayne always does really well when he comes to council.
Great job.
He did.
Excellent. Okay. Any questions for Wayne? Recommendation is the council receives the water foreman's February the 15th, 2018 report, backflow prevention program, and the information on the program attached, and supports staff working with water users to ensure compliance with applicable requirements in bylaw 2017-06. Somebody care to make that motion? Councillor Anderson, Councillor Caldwell, all in favor? Opposed, if any? I declare the motion carried.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you. Okay, compliance coordinator. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Last time of year again for our annual reports. As part of Reg 170, drinking water every year, we require to go to an annual report. One that we release to the public by on our websites, and then also we do some report for council, and that has to be presented by the end of March. Basically, part of the standard of care, due diligence, part of the council as owners to review the report and ask any questions that are related to it. So today I've brought packages that will have to sign on. When we're done, let's just review them. Just some of the highlights of the reports that I want to bring to everybody's attention. So a big part of it is compliance, and we have no non-compliances of orders related to no PC. And all our inspections for all the towns were 100% this year. We did have 5 adverse water quality events. So these are events that are reportable to the ministry, not necessarily a risk to the water, but something that we report that there was a risk, and then we take steps to correct it. So they included 2 boil waters. One was resolved flood, one was and then we had 3 samples that came back with results that were outside the specs, but in each case we received no follow-up. Also in these reports we talked about what was permitted to pay for water and what were actually paid for water. So in all cases we're well below permit level. Some room for growth, I guess. And The only other thing I'd like to highlight specific to the Clifford water system, and we talked about this for many years, is the lowering of the standard for the arsenic, the natural arsenic. So as a result of that, we have taken on extra samples on Clifford system as required. We're below the standard, but we are exceeding half the standard. So those are the highlights of the report.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Anderson.
I have two. Sodium is one of the treatment sources, and I also noticed that it's the only one that is anywhere near its maximum.
Yeah. Well, sodium, so it's basically salt.
Right.
In the water. We did have an exceedance this year. That's one of those AWQI. And when you have an exceedance of sodium, what you require is you have to notify the health and then basically the people on the new sodium diet be notified. So it's kind of weird with that sample is if you want a well, we do have wells that are getting close to that standard. We've never had one test over. The well that did test over has never been one that historically was on the radar. So when we resample, go back to the historic.
I guess I'm asking, why is sodium a treatment? Like, what is it in sodium?
It's not sodium. Oh, you're talking about the sodium silicate.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yes.
Sodium is so we test for sodium in the water.
Right.
Sodium silicate is what we use to tie up the iron.
Okay.
Yeah, that we add to the water, and then sodium hypochlorite. That's chlorine basically. That's the chemical name of the chlorine.
Okay.
So we do use it in the treatment. But the sodium is also seen in the testing factor in raw water.
Okay. And my quick other question was, the water usage.
Yeah.
When you look across, they're pretty standard, except all of a sudden May for Harriston went crazy.
Yep, we had an issue with an alarm at the tower. We didn't get an alarm when the tower had reached full. So the tower kept filling overflowing. That one instance was what led to that spike.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and since then we've taken corrective actions that will alarm spike down. So we're notified if we're in that ballpark. That's why you see that spike.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I know I'll get you
Okay, sure.
if I may first. The arsenic treatment in Clifford. Do we know where that's coming from, or
It's naturally occurring in bedrock.
in the bedrock?
So yeah, we have number 3 out there in overburden well. We don't see it at all, but the ones in bedrock, it's naturally occurring. And it's never been an issue because the standard up until this January 1st was always quite a bit higher, right? So they tightened up the standards all of a sudden. It's on the radar. There are some communities around, I'm sure you'll be hearing in the news that are above that standard. They're looking at treatment options basically or different water sources.
Okay.
We will definitely. Basically, they want us to build a trend.
Yeah.
See where we're at and
Okay, Councillor Elliott.
That fellow's yellow water. Can you comment on that, or is that a constant thing, like you said, or what's happening there? That should show up in your.
So we do track all our customers, and all those here we have that. We are dealing. I don't know specifically. We obviously want to contact. I have some details.
Okay.
In fairness, he did leave, so I don't think we should have a discussion about
Oh,
him. We'll bring that information back. Yeah,
So it's on a complaint basis, and it doesn't show up coming through on all your testing and everything.
No, and then we could do on any complaint like that. We're willing to do testing at to show the fault.
So obviously, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Any other questions?
I just have a comment, and it goes to just two things. One, just to remind you of Section 19 of the Safe Drinking Water Act. That's the one where you can go to jail if you're not conducting proper oversight. So I appreciate hearing council question thought on these things, because that's showing oversight. And the other part where you do that is adopting policy, the bylaw that we brought forward, and that budget to make sure you're allocating sufficient funds to run the systems. And I think Todd, under Wayne's tutelage and that of Daryl, has done a great job as the WQMS. He does two jobs at once, so he is still the lead hand. So I appreciate the work that he's been doing, and a lot of unsung nights where they're out and we aren't, and I appreciate that work. Wayne as well. Obviously, Wayne's got many years' experience with the systems and brings that to you, but we're well served by the work that you guys do. And the other thing was that, speaking of floods, it was our public works people who were out that told us about the floods, because when I got up at 5:30 in the morning, there was nobody around saying anything, and it was our guys that called and woke me up and said, we better get moving because something's wrong. So they've got alarms.
That was something, eh?
They got alarms that start showing early on, so they're up there dealing with pumps and things and levels that are exceeding. So yeah, I appreciate the report.
You bet. Excellent.
I just want to say, I certainly wasn't questioning your integrity or your work ethics or how. I just seems unfathomable with all the work that you guys do that could happen, and obviously with a complaint basis, you guys would go out and do that, and that's what I wanted you to get clarified. I was hoping to do that for you.
The only other thing too, the minor bulk of the reports that have earlier today, the report section was
Just you may recall the Walkerton inquiry. It linked source water to water and DWQMS. So with any luck, we're done with the regimented system. What they continue to do nowadays is tighten up some of these requirements.
Yep.
So yeah, that now arsenic, and there may be others that come forward. That will be a challenge in the future for us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Recommendation that council approves the 2017 annual and summary reports for the town of Minto drinking water systems, including Clifford drinking water system, Hairston drinking water system, Palmerston drinking water system, and Minto Pines subdivision drinking water system, and the individual members of council and the CAO. Clerk sign the respect. I think I got the emphasis on the wrong syllable there. And the CAO clerk sign the respective reports as stewards of the water infrastructure. Would somebody care to move that? Councillor Caldwell, Councillor Dirksen. All those in favor?
I would
Opposed, if any?
What'd you say?
Yeah, what was I saying? Declare the motion carried. And are those books ready to sign? They could be brought up. And
Mr. Mayor, maybe we should do the additional items first, and then stay in committee of the whole. And you can take a short break and sign those documents, because then we got to go into the public meeting.
Public meeting at 5 o'clock.
And then you'll do a motion to go into committee of adjustment.
Right.
I'm going along too quickly here.
Just too good.
They're trying to go get back to work.
Okay. So we have roads and drainage foreman, 2018 Green Legacy Day. I don't see our roads foreman here.
I guess that's me.
That's pretty simple.
Yeah, that's straightforward. You have this every year.
Yep.
It's just a recommendation that you do the same thing.
I will be there.
And the date of it
May 5th.
May 5th. So we will need you here early in the morning to do your customary duties.
And not open the doors before 8 o'clock.
That's right, because all the trees disappear too quickly.
Okay, recommendation. The council receives the Public Works February 2nd, 2018 report regarding Minto Green Legacy Days to be held May the 5th, 2018 from 8 to 10 p.m. at the AM at yes, wouldn't that be? We'd have a lot of people awful upset at that time, wouldn't we?
Be waiting a long time.
At the Town of Minto Public Works shop, right? Somebody make that motion. Councillor Anderson. Councillor Elliott, thank you. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Declare the motion carried. Let's see if you guys were paying attention. Okay, other business disclosed. And the first one I had was Councillor Elliott, I believe it was.
I just want to, I need support again if I'm to run OSUM director again this year, and I have to put an application in. I guess the application is the right word, and or I have to be nominated to become a director again for OSUM. And it will be held at our annual OSUM convention.
I just happen to have a paper here, a nomination form. So if somebody would like to make that a motion and a seconder, and then I'll get you to sign the appropriate form here, and we'll use it as a motion in council as well. So somebody make that motion, Councillor Dirksen and Councillor Caldwell. All in favor? Are you not in conflict here?
Well, I don't know whether I am or not. Can I vote for myself?
Okay. So I'll give that to you first.
Okay, thank you.
And all in favor? I guess we did that.
We did that.
I declare the motion carried. Both for the form and for council's purposes. Next was Councillor Dirksen, I believe.
I just wanted to report on the Wellington Farm Home Safety Association breakfast that I told you about at our last council meeting. That happened last Saturday. There were about 250 people at the Alma Community Center. There were about 10 stations covering some farm safety, some home safety, things like there was a paramedic there. There was a large tractor tire to explain to kids how people on a tractor can't see you, so stay back. Bicycle safety. There was another one on hunting safety. Like I said, I think there was about 10 different stations. So it was very well attended. It was a very good event. Coming up sometime in May, I believe there may be a ATV night in Minto. It was very well attended, apparently, in the past. There is a list of 2017
Will
events.
that include side-by-sides?
Not sure.
Because they are becoming a lot more
That's true.
plentiful, and they should be made part of it because it's another set of laws again.
Yep, true enough. So there is a list of 2017 events that is being prepared to inform this council and everyone else. Just some of the events that happened or all of the events really that happened in 2017 with the assistance of that committee, and it'll list the volunteer hours that it took to put all of this together as well.
Nice.
So
Nice.
I will share that with you when I get it.
Thank you for that complete report, and that's always something that we don't really want to be attentive to, but it's something that is a very, very big must.
Yeah, the OPP were there too.
Yeah,
You'd be happy to
I'm
know
sure. You bet. They better have been. Oh, did I say that out loud? Anybody? Councillor Caldwell, did you have one? I have. Oh, sorry. Councillor White, you go ahead and then I'll finish.
Councillor White.
CO White.
Is that a promotion or a demotion?
I think it's gone.
I don't know whether I like that one or not.
On the news I've received lately, I'm not sure about that.
Depends who's talking to us.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess I have two items. One, I wanted to talk about February 20th and our response from the staff. You'll recall we did have the flood presentation at that meeting. And just as we were finishing council, I had a call from the fire chief who was down at King and Yonge, and the water had come across Yonge Street. And I thought, oh, here we go again. Now, just before the meeting, we had been down to the corner of William and George, and that we did install a pump at that time there. That pump didn't come just out of magic. It's a big pump, and it had a long outlet on it. And the staff were thinking ahead, and we had to order those in, and we had them here in case we needed them. And so there was a lot of foresight and preparation. I know in wastewater they found some sewage blocking downstream that had that not been picked up and cleaned, things could have been a lot worse. So I commend the staff for their response. They were there when I got down there about 10:30, and they stayed there a lot of the night through past midnight to make sure things, and I think things were sort of under control, and that pump at George and William was working pretty well at that time. But we did go for a little drive on some of the rural roads just to see, and you could really tell they were very mushy and the gravel was not good. But the good news is what we did see is no breaches upstream. So we were pretty confident that the river wasn't going to get any higher than it did. But I think the response was very good by the staff on your behalf, and I certainly appreciate that.
You bet.
Can I just ask a question? Is that pump now, does it stay with the town of Minto, or is it something that we get every time we need it?
So we're renting them right now. We're going to have a report back to you in the coming weeks about how many pumps we have and what we would do with them. But quite frankly, the idea of pumping there, and really, I mean, there's no way we could have pumped June 23rd. It wouldn't have pumped it. But this particular circumstances, the way things were flowing at that time, it just happened to provide some relief. We believe that relief extended downstream into other places. So, but we don't know for sure. The mayor did commit because there was a lot of upset people after, rightly so, getting flooded again. And we just encourage them all to make sure their sump pumps and backflow prevention valves are working. And then he also committed to have that pump available when we can. So if we can foresee the situation, we'll make sure we deploy one there because it seems to provide relief. The other good thing is we do have the farm owner upstream has been speaking with our staff about ways that we might help with something, an emergency temporary situation, if we keep getting these 10-year, 100-year storms. But
every year, yeah.
If we get a 100-year storm, it doesn't matter what you do with pumps or berms.
Yeah.
If we get Hurricane Hazel again, it will be 2/3 bigger than June 23rd. So we'll find out a lot more about that at our public meeting. I would encourage all of council to come to that on the 29th. It should be very, very interesting, and all the experts who know far more about it than I will.
Wow.
The second thing was we just received before I came here a call from the MTO that some work would be occurring on the Highway 89 bridge, and it's work related to inspecting that bridge, which did have some damage June 23rd as well. It's likely that road will be closed for at least, at best, a couple days here coming up. We don't know exactly what days or what's going on yet, so we're waiting to get more information. But
so you're talking about John Street?
No, I'm talking about Highway 89 between between where?
Oh, over there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Between Dwyer's Road.
Yeah, between Dwyer's Road
across the Saugeen.
So it'll basically be closed from the Clifford turnoff to, what is that, Gray Road 6 or whatever.
Gray Road 6, yeah.
So it may be for a couple days. I don't know the days yet, but we actually had a call from Pike Lake hearing that the Highway 89 was going to be closed, and 2 days ago or a day ago, and we didn't know anything about it, and then just got a call now. So not sure what's going on just yet, but if you see some road closure things go up here, then it's the MTO doing their work. And that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was just say I traveled over that bridge yesterday actually, and there was a couple of MTO vehicles there and some pilots.
Is that right?
It looked like they were maybe doing something. Putting that together with
that June 23rd or whatever it was, man, it took some major pressure. Can't believe it. So, anyways, mine. Okay, sit back, relax. This could take a while.
Really?
Anyways, no.
Suspense is killing me.
No.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Texas, as probably most people know, for our vacation. Where we stayed was San Padre Island, which is close to a place called Port Aransas. It's really only about 25 kilometers across from Port Aransas or San Padre to Port Aransas, which is where Hurricane Harvey first hit. And the devastation and the damage to there were 158,000 homes destroyed in Houston, Port Aransas, and all the area up the Gulf Coast. What I was most impressed with was the resilience of the people and the patients. And would you believe that their difficulty is not rebuilding, but getting skilled labor to do that. They've run out of groups. They've run out of material. There's a set of buildings in Port Aransas they say is going to take anywhere from 5 to 7 years yet before they are going to be able to rebuild. So I just want to say, I know we can't rest on our laurels, but I want to compliment our staff and my colleagues on the council for working hard to see ahead, and also the preparation for emergencies and whatnot is so obvious when you see the devastation outside your town, and so I just want to let the public know out there that's watching this that, man, I'm so proud to be in the town of Minto, and so my kudos to our staff. We can't rest on our laurels. We have to get better, but keep up the good work. Thank you. That's it.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, you're still in committee of the whole. What I'd recommend if you took a 10-minute break and signed the binders.
Okay. Yep. Sounds
Water
good.
people can get back to work, and then we can adjourn back at 5 o'clock.
I think so.
Can we schedule public meetings at 4:30 the next time?
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
They want us to go down there?
Worked out good.
No, I'm gonna go wash it first. Although we can kind of, because there's only 4 books. We need a whole.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, just on my extra item for the break, turns out we have been advised that Highway 89 is now closed. So that's the amount of notice we had for that. Half a day.
That didn't come from them.
Wow.
And you have no idea for how long.
Nope, I don't.
And they said for a minimum of 2 days, though.
Yeah.
Didn't you say that originally?
Mm-hmm.
So, guess what? My computer just went.
Now you're on right here.
Also go. Okay. So now,
Mr.
we
Deputy
need
Mayor,
a motion to go
no,
into.
we're in committee of the whole, so we're moving to the public meeting for Michalowski.
It's close to. Yep.
6426 fifth line.
Okay. And this is a public meeting to consider an amendment to the Town of Minto zoning bylaw number 01-86 for property located on part lot 100, concession D, municipality known as 6426 fifth line, Town of Minto. I will act as chair of the meeting, of the public meeting, and I have hereby now call it to order. And if a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Town of Minto before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Town of Minto to the Ontario Municipal Board, and the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the board, unless, in the opinion of the board, there are reasonable grounds to do so. CEO White.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. The subject property is located at part lot 100, concession D, 6426 fifth line, Town of Minto. The proposed amendment is to rezone the lands to prohibit any future residential development on the agricultural retained portion of the property. This rezoning is a condition of severance B124/17 that has been granted provisional consent by Wellington County Land Division. The consent will sever a 7.3 18-acre parcel with the existing dwelling, barns, and sheds from the retained 32.8 81-acre vacant agricultural parcel. Notice was mailed to property owners within 400 feet or 120 meters of the subject property and to applicable agencies February 13th and posted on the subject lands. Comments were received from Town of Minto staff. The building assistant is here, and Curtis Marshall, senior planner from County Wellington, and he is here.
Okay. At this time, I would like to call on the applicant or agent to provide comments regarding the proposed amendment to the comprehensive zoning bylaw 01-86. Is anybody wishing? No, nobody's wishing to do that? Okay. I'd like to call on anyone who wishes to comment in opposition of the proposed amendment to actually sign in and then come up to the mic. Is this could be my shortest public meeting ever.
I hope so.
The
You drove all the way from Guelph. You should have.
yeah, that's right. Somebody's got to ask a question. Make it worthwhile.
No, shouldn't they give the report?
Do you wish to give a report? Yes, sure.
Yes, please.
But be brief, please. Thank you. Very well said. Okay, members of council. Oh no, is there any rebuttal? Members of council, would you like to ask any questions? Councillor Henderson.
I'm a little confused by this, and maybe I just don't know some of the background. The retained section, we're trying to stop them from developing it. So who's selling what to whom? Donna. Okay.
It's all agriculture.
Okay. Okay, because I think it was the retain that was
Correct.
confused me. I was thinking they're keeping their agricultural land and selling their house, or what are they doing? Okay, all right. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle. If anyone wishes to be notified of the decision of the council of the town of Minto in respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application, you must make a written request to the clerk of the town of Minto at 5941 Highway 89, Harriston, N0G1Z0, or by email at bwhite@townofminto.on.ca. Any further comments? I hereby declare this public meeting adjourned. Now we're into this. Moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Dirksen, that the Committee of the Whole convenes into Committee of Adjustment. All in favor? Opposed? Declare the motion carried. Okay, I'd like to call public meeting in order, and any decision reached by this committee today cannot be used to set a precedent. Each application considered by the committee is dealt with on its own merits, and no two applications are exactly the same. This public hearing is to consider minor variance application file number MV-2018-02 Bray/Taylor, and I will call on the Secretary Treasurer to state the following.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Subject property is legally described as Plan Clifford, Part Lot 304, Plan 61R21110, Part 1, known as 22 Ann Street, South Clifford. The purpose of the application is to permit construction of a semi-detached residential dwelling on the existing lot with an exterior side yard setback of 1.97 meters. Section 12.2.2.7 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum exterior side yard setback of 6.0 meters. Notice was mailed to property owners within 60 meters of the subject property and applicable agencies on February 22nd, posted on the lands, and circulated to staff on the same date. Comments were received from the Town of Minto Building Assistant, who is here, and County of Wellington Junior Planner Jessica Wilton, Senior Planner Curtis Marshall, who is here. The Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority reported they had no concerns.
Okay, call on the applicant or agent if you wish, and this will be followed by comments by county or town staff. Nothing? Okay, thank you. And any persons wishing to speak to the application to come forward and address the Committee of Adjustment through the chair. None. Any response or rebuttal by the applicant or agent? None or seeing none? Okay, would you, that's all right. You want to read mine?
Got through there fast.
You want to read mine?
Somewhere in here is the decisions of the committee.
Can I have a question?
Oh, yes, sorry. Councilor Caldwell.
Just a quick question. I know you're saying that the road won't be open, and so it won't be an issue with it being only 1.97 meters. I've got a concern with that. Like, is there a guarantee that that road will never want to be opened, or?
Yeah, forever's a long time.
Sorry?
I just said forever is a long time.
Yeah, it is.
Strange.
It is, and that's my concern. I mean, it is going to be very close to the road. If they ever do decide down the road that they want that road opened. Mm.
That is there will be the possibility of being trail and the other issues about
Have you driven up there, that little street?
Yeah, I have.
Up to the dead end? Yeah.
Just through you, Mr. Chair, yeah, we did look at that street and we don't believe it will be open. It's quite hilly in there. And so the setback we determined would be fine. Even if it did go through, there still would be a separation on the boulevard between the lot line and the road itself. So 1.98 meters is pretty small for around here, but the size that we had in Owens Sound for years was 3 meters on a corner lot. So
Okay.
so it's I think it'll be fine, and I don't think we'll have any issues with it.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Michelle. Okay, and I am at the point where
So, Mr. Deputy Mayor, sorry.
you're going to speak.
I was looking for the decisions of the committee, and we have two. One is in favor of the application, and one is in opposition. Getting a sense of this, I'll read the one that is in favor. The committee believes the request to be minor and desirable for the appropriate development of the lands and to maintain the intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw approves the application. And if you believe that's the case, then we would need a motion to approve the application. And then
would somebody like to make a motion in regards to this application? Councillor Dirksen in favor?
Yes.
Councillor Elliott in favor? Councillor, I'll consider you the seconder. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate. And opposed, if any, I declare the motion carried. So then we'll pass that to everybody and they can sign it. I voted in favor, by the way. Can I go on and say while we're signing that, or?
Yeah, well, you finish up there, yes.
Yeah, anyone wishing to receive a copy of the notice of decision, to please sign the request for notice of decision prior to leaving the council chambers following the meeting. Can I adjourn it? And I hereby adjourn this public meeting.
Deputy Mayor, while they're signing, there's another motion here.
Motion by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Caldwell. The Committee of Adjustment convenes into regular council meeting. All in favor? Is anybody in favor?
Oh, you're just not fast
You
enough.
just not turn your head.
What are we doing?
Very well done. Very well done.
Sorry.
Matters of routine. You're approved.
Okay.
You can go if you want. I would.
Sorry.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
You missed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we just found out too. Okay.
Next motion.
Next motion.
You're not signing anything yet.
Motion by Councillor Caldwell, second by Councillor Dirksen, that the council of the town of Minto ratifies the motions made in the committee of the whole. All in favor?
Sure.
We got everybody that time.
It's a convex mirror in front of them or something.
I declare that motion carried. And moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Anderson, that bylaw 2018-09 to amend zoning bylaw number 1-86 for 6426 fifth line Palmerston in the town of Minto from agricultural to agricultural exception be introduced and read a first, second, third time and pass an open council and seal with the seal of corporation. All in favor? Declare that motion carried. Motion by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Elliott, that bylaw 2018-10, bylaw to establish fees and charges for various services provided by the municipality, be introduced and read a first, second, third time, and pass an open council and seal with the seal of the corporation. All in favor? Declare the motion carried. This is by 2018-10. Moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Caldwell, that bylaw 2018-111, bylaw to exempt part lot control for lands being part of park lot, that should be part lot 5? Oh, part
It's a park
of
lot.
park lot 5, northeast of George Street, be in parts 1 and 2 plan 61R-21255, former town of Harrison in the town of Minto, under section 50, subsection 7-1 of the Planning Act, 190 or 1990, as amended, be introduced and read first, second, third time, pass an open council, and seal with the seal of the corporation. All in favor? Declare the motion carried. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Dirksen, the bylaw 2018-12 to confirm actions of the council of the corporation of the town of Minto respecting a meeting held March the 6th, 2018, be introduced and read a first, second, third time, and pass an open council, seal with the seal of the corporation. All in favor? Declare the motion carried. That's it. Moved by Councillor Caldwell, second by Councillor Anderson, that the council of the town of Minto adjourn to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor? Good meeting, folks. Thank you for your support.